Okay. On to this first Yuletide topic. This happened around Christmas time, Ian.
So this is fairly fantastic. Hidden Palace released the prototype ROM for Akira on the Sega Genesis. So Akira was it's a very influential manga and movie by Katsuhiro Otomo.
One of the biggest ones, right? Yeah.
I mean, it was one of the biggest ones, especially in terms of kind of breaking that to more mainstream American audiences.
Sure.
Ebert did a review of it. I mean, it got
the movie. Yeah.
It got big. It was pushed very, very heavily over here for a anime movie, especially at the time. It's kind of a post-apocalyptic tale about, basically, ostensibly at the beginning about rival bike gang factions.
Holy shit! It takes place in 2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
it already
Perfect.
happened. And then it goes on to be, much more than that.
So the Blade Runner, right, was 2019.
Yeah, Blade Runner was as well.
Wow, this is fucking me. This is screwing my mind.
So, it was popular. It was, definitely popular with a certain subset over here. It seemed like it would have been ripe for a video game adaptation. There was a Famicom version that came out that is a visual novel, and also a Game Boy version that is also basically a visual novel that have really nice art, but there's really nothing to be discussed in terms of
there was
gameplay.
also that incomplete, unreleased one by that special game preservationist that had the copy on Game Boy of Akira as well.
Yeah, right.
I don't know where the hell that is.
So, anyways, it looks like let's see, what's this gentleman's name here? Black Pearl. Lawrence Siegel, who's CEO of Black Pearl Software, was given a VHS of the movie, saw it, liked it, and decided that there was enough beats in the film to make a game out of it.
Okay.
So he actually traveled to Japan and met Mr. Otomo, Katsuhiro Otomo, who gifted him with 50 animation cells, it says in this article on Hidden Palace, which is pretty freaking awesome, and wished him the best of luck when he went to go get the rights. So what's interesting right off the bat here is that the Genesis version of this was going to be developed by a Western studio, not a studio in Japan. I think that's kind of interesting. So basically they developed it, they started to develop it, and due to a merger or a buyout by THQ, eventually it got shuffled off to the side and never finished. It's a really interesting looking game though, in that it kind of pulls from the Golgo 13 line of games.
Multi-genre game.
Multi-engine.
My favorite genre of game.
Multi-engine, multi-genre.
Which is difficult to pull off well, obviously.
Vice Project Doom also did it on the Nintendo. Did it very well. It's not always easy to pull that off. But the
Ultimate Stuntman.
Ultimate Stuntman. So the ROM's been released, and there's now gameplay footage up. There was gameplay footage from a trade show, and it's slightly different from the trade show footage. What's interesting is that it actually does seem to follow the beats of the movie pretty well. There's the motorcycle section. There's side-scrolling with Kaneda. There's first-person segments with Tetsuo in the hospital.
Yeah, it's online. You can see like 60 minutes of gameplay footage from Hidden Palace. There's like several different types of.
There's an isometric scene that looks almost like an RPG, and then there's like a side-by-side section.
First-person shooter in the like a hospital.
Yeah, I brought
that
the first-person segment with Tetsuo in the hospital, and it's pretty great. If you know the movie, you should definitely watch the footage, because he's actually sending out the psychic blasts and just ripping the people apart, and it's funny to see it in Genesis graphics, to see that part of the movie represented. So it actually, like, when you watch, there's a 10-minute gameplay clip up there, and I think there's a longer one. But if you watch the 10-minute one, it does follow the beats of the movie as well as you would hope a video game version of Akira would. And it actually
looked like a promising path to follow.
Yeah, it looked like something that, I mean, who knows how it controlled or how it would have ended up, but it actually looks like it would have been pretty neat to play, at least as a fan of the movie.
There's little cutscenes in it, which is cute.
Oh yeah, the cutscenes look really good. Yeah,
there's a fighting battle, a fighting scene.
Yeah, at the end it shows
action
Tetsuo
platformer.
and Kaneda.
You know, it's super ambitious.
Looks like shooter, racing, fighter,
isometric little stage, action stage.
So
first person stage where you're blowing up nurses with an energy beam. Kind of violent, but that's Akira, right?
The movie's very violent.
Okay.
So
sounds like, according to this article, it was going to be on the Super Nintendo as well, and then it was canceled as well.
So the Super Nintendo one, it said, was likely to be different. The Super Nintendo one, I think they said, was going to be almost entirely isometric, similar to Shadowrun, and they do have some release. They released some sprite sheets of the for the Super Nintendo one that you can see on the hiddenpalace.org article as well. But yeah, the game looks great. I would actually consider this one to be a real shame that it was never finished. And I'll definitely give the prototype a try. Not all licensed games turn out great. Very few of them do, especially back then. But this one looked like it had a chance.
So they showed this off at Summer CES '94. And that version, it said it was more finished because it had
there was enemies on the bike level
and music that wasn't in this version. Sounds like so. Yeah, so there's different copies out there. It's good to see this. And this was in the middle of the night. Was someone named Matsuda got a copy of it somehow, and it was still burned on the EEPROMs.
Two PCBs actually.
Two PCBs, burnt with the same build, and now they're preserved. That's fantastic.
Yep. That's wonderful.
I like that this is happening every 3-4 months now. We're preserving stuff.
Yeah, we're in this weird period where I think maybe not. But I think one of the thoughts was a few years ago. I think people were erroneously thinking that we had found a lot of the stuff that we were going to find.
Well,
but now with a heightened focus on video game preservation that's taken place over the past 2 years, people see this stuff now and they say, hey, this is actually something that we should probably check out, as opposed to binning it or getting rid of it or recycling the EEPROMs or whatever.
And I think, fortunately, much of the community has turned against where people are holding these hostage or trying to make money off of making bootleg copies. That's more and more being frowned upon. The more and more this gets into the public eye about this. Like it's not cool. There's now more like social mores where it's like, all right, you're not helping anyone out by doing that, and then you're making it harder for the next person who's going to hold it hostage. So there's been a lot of different things that have happened, I think, over the past couple of years. Where 5-6 years ago, all the NES prototypes, you couldn't get them until they were released on a cartridge and sold to like a few hundred people. So they had to make their money back on them first, quote unquote. A lot of these people got these for free back in the day, or very cheap, and they had to make their money because they were afraid of someone else making the the bootleg. So it was always a weird thing like that on Nintendo age.
Sure.
Back then. So this is good news. I love this. And I like the little GIF on the bottom. He's eating the piece of chicken.
Yes. Yeah.
So so it'd be interesting to see. Maybe the Super Nintendo one will be found, or someone has to have this somewhere. You'd hope, not just thrown in a drawer somewhere, or or destroyed. Yeah. I'm not a big Akira person. I never actually saw it. I got to watch it at some point. But it has that like Blade Runner sort of like future aesthetic as well, right?
It's a mess of a movie, but it's worth watching just for the
speaking
the
of
animation
that,
for sure.
Speaking of all that, wait to say Sid Mead passed away.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday.
That's a shame. Artist on things like Alien and Blade Runner, things like that. Had futuristic design.
And Sid Mead's terraforming.
And yes, Sid Mead's terraforming. The last game I needed in my collection. Yes. So, I didn't know much about the guy, but obviously his influence for stuff I was like Akira as well, because probably took some stuff from Blade Runner, and that visual aesthetic was so unique and not really done before. So, all right, well there you go. We'll check out the ROM. You can download on the site, I believe, right? Yeah, because I've seen people playing it on YouTube. So, yeah, the prototype's right there. I think. I don't know. I can't navigate Hidden Palace. I'm never good at navigating the website.
So Lyman has 69 appearances in Garfield.
Good way to end the topic.
Just so you know.
Okay.